This is the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. I'm Kevin Scholla in the new Full Battle Rattle studios.
Adults in America choosing their partners, choosing relationships that they deem best for themselves. You know, I am tolerant and I have a very diverse family and group of friends.
Today we dive right into part 2 with Thomas S. Schmitz, who's back with us for a second straight show. Thomas is an editor for Conservatives for Palin, and he has a lot to say about the position of White House LGBT liaison. Thomas also discusses the forgotten gays, gay Christians, and we look at the Q in LGBTQ. A lot to discuss with Thomas S. Schmitz, who's back again on the Palin Update. Plus, we'll have the latest national and Alaska headlines in Sarah Palin news. We'll visit the Crow's Nest with Tanya Crow in California. Also from the Golden State, Kelly Carlson is on target. The Millennial Forecast with Sarah Hagmeyer is on the way from New Jersey, and a brand new installment of Liberty and Legacy with Tamara Colbert in Texas coming up. Welcome to the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. The Palin Update is sponsored by Full Battle Rattle. Full Battle Rattle, helping veterans suffering from combat-related disabilities through the healing power of music. Learn more at facebook.com/fullbattlerattle.abq. Now we welcome Thomas S. Schmitz back to the show because we simply had such a great chat last show. Let's get right back into it with Mr. Schmitz. You mentioned gay Christians. You said that term many times. You know, some people hear that from both ends of the spectrum. Some gays hear gay Christian and they scoff at it because they think Christianity is intolerant or, you know, not for them, quote unquote. And then you hear some Christians who, quote unquote, Christians, I should say, who scoff at a gay person being a Christian, saying, well, if you're gay, you're not a Christian. So what do you say to those who, you know, want to come to terms with that term that you used, gay Christian, and also specifically on the issue of gay marriage, which has seemed to be the number one topic and really the only thing that some people have voted on over the last few years?
Right. Okay, so let's start with gay Christians. What I can say, it has been my experience that in a room full of Christians, I am treated with kindness and respect. And I am a Christian. I'm a graduate of Santa Fe Christian Academy down in Solana Beach, San Diego. And so I grew up with Christians, and I speak Christian, and I am Christian. And I can say that I am treated with kindness and respect and tolerance in a room full of Christians. In a room full of mainstream LGBT, I am treated with contempt, with disdain, and I've had some really horrible things said to me. I had my bank accounts hacked into 7 times. I had my credit cards illegally used. I had horrible hate mail. The typical, Goebbels would be proud of you, Himmler would be proud of you. And because I capitalized my middle initial and the first letter of my last name, they were saying, oh, he's a secret Nazi, because my middle name is Sean, so it's SS. And so, I mean, I don't know anyone who doesn't capitalize, but, oh, yeah, Thomas is a
see that when you're a Palin supporter, they make these crazy things up about you just like they do about her. That's what happens.
Exactly. It's just so weird. And I'm sorry, what was the second part of the question, Kevin?
Gay marriage.
Oh, gay marriage. Okay, well, I really wish that back in, it was during President Bush's first term when he was trying to do domestic partnership reform. I really wish that the LGBT had not stepped in and killed the bill, because millions of dollars would have been saved. I actually wrote a bill, and all I did was Google how to write a bill, and what I did was I took the California Domestic Partnership Registry Act of 1999, and I slapped on an amendment for same-sex couples to be able to file taxes on a federal level jointly, and then Social Security benefits for the deceased partner. It was really that easy. And if they had just passed that, think of the millions of dollars that would have been saved on both ends, on both sides of the argument.
Sure.
And the divisions that wouldn't be there if they had just let President Bush pass domestic partnership reform. Okay, so anyways, cut to now. Now it's the law of the land, and as President-elect Trump said to Leslie Stahl on 60 Minutes, it's a done deal. The Supreme Court has voted on it, and I'm okay with it. So it's a done deal. It's the law of the land. If I had it my way, I would have asked them to pass my bill, because I think my bill made more sense and would have saved millions and millions of dollars on both sides of the argument. Do you remember Prop 8 in California in 2008? Sure. Okay, here, get this. Okay, so Prop 8, they were running around and showing all these commercials telling people, oh, it's so awful that gay couples can't go visit each other at the hospital and gay couples can't do this. Okay, I have in our file cabinet in the bedroom a signed certificate from Governor Schwarzenegger that repeatedly says, quote, shall have the same rights as married spouses. I'm going to say it again. Quote, shall have the same rights as married spouses. And so for the LGBT to run around like they did in 2008 over Prop 8 and lie when since 1999 there was a bill passed in Sacramento in our capital, and all you had to do if you were really concerned about, visiting your partner at the hospital and all the things that the mainstream LGBT just screamed about, which wasn't true, all you had to do were read the laws already on the books and follow the rules. And that's what my domestic partner and I did. We read the laws that were on the books. We followed the rules. We filled out the form. We mailed it to Sacramento. And then Governor Schwarzenegger mailed us a certificate and a very nice letter saying congratulations. And it's got the stamp on it, a seal of California. And that was that. And then we went on with our lives. And when I talk about the forgotten gays, that's another example of the forgotten gays. The gays that don't run around in rainbow-colored G-strings, and the gays who don't run around on gay pride floats with the butt showing, and, silly stuff like that. Guys, come on. The Supreme Court said you're like everyone else. You got to act like everyone else. If you go outside and you need to go to one of those parades, put a shirt on. Put some pants on. I don't think it's asking for much, and I don't think it's prudish either to expect people to wear pants when they go out in public.
Yeah,
and
pretty much the norm to wear pants. Except really you did mention Winnie the Pooh earlier, and he doesn't wear pants, but.
That's true. Yeah, when he gets out of the shower, he puts on a towel, which I've always been confused about.
Well, the other day we were watching Mickey Mouse Club, and Donald Duck, who also doesn't wear pants, he was at the beach, and he took his shirt off and then put on pants. So it was very interesting. We need to look into this, Thomas. That's our next topic, next show.
Yes.
Donald Trump at the convention and also while campaigning has used the term, not just LGBT, he's used the term LGBTQ many times out there on the stump. I don't know that a Republican has ever said that in a positive manner. I know he got some positive feedback at the convention, but others, of course, as you know, with you or Governor Palin or President-elect Trump, you could cure cancer and AIDS in the same day, and you'd still be, told that you're awful. So, but let me ask you about that. First of all, those who don't know, what is the Q? Because, we had LG, then we had LGB, then LGBT, now LGBTQ. We're adding letters. And why is it important that Donald Trump has used that term?
Well, here's the sad thing. The reason they keep adding letters, it's about money. It's called brand protection. When they started winning little battles, statewide and then nationwide and then at the Supreme Court, to be fair, to be blunt, they needed a new class of victims to exploit. And so they started adding letters. And the Q stands for questioning, which is so extremely fluid, it could apply to almost anything. And so they can continue on with their fundraising, send us $5. This person is going to give you equality. Send us $5. This person is going to take away your equality. And it's so irresponsible, both psychologically and financially, because what they're saying to gay people is that you aren't good enough. You can't do it on your own. You're a victim. You're persecuted. They're out to get you. And that's not the message we want to be sending to any American citizen. I mean, we throw sexuality out of the mix. And, we don't want to send that message, but unfortunately that's what they're doing. Because, it did start out as the GL, then it was the LG, then the LGB, and then the LGBT, and then the LGBTQ. And they keep adding these letters because they keep winning these battles, yet they need to be able to continue to make money, and it's called brand protection.
That's very interesting. But
really
Donald Trump, not afraid to use the term, and in that part, I guess it's a good. I guess that's a positive.
Yeah. Well, it's like I said earlier in the show, Kevin. Personally, I don't like that we divide ourselves into little boxes. I know you don't either. But you got to deal with what you have to deal with. And right now, we're divided into these little boxes. One of these little boxes is the LGBTQ, and so. There they are. I say they instead of we because, I'm an American. I don't think that sex is interesting. I said that earlier. I'm an American, and I leave it at that. I'm a Lithuanian American, okay? There we go.
There you go.
And
now, that's what the L stands for. I got it now.
Yeah.
That's the L.
Yeah, that's the L for me. It's Lithuanian. I just happen to listen to show tunes, and if we're talking about sports, it's women's gymnastics. So there we go on that. So we have to deal with what we've been dealt with, and so one of these little boxes that we have self-segregated into is the LGBTQ, and so good on Trump for not being afraid. And I was so amazed. Remember the speech that Peter Thiel gave at the Republican convention?
Oh yeah,
the gay guy.
Sure.
That made PayPal.
And
he was applauded by the audience, and then President-elect Trump went out there and said, "I'm so proud of you guys." And so all this nonsense about the Republicans hate gay people.
It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
It's such nonsense, and it's just like what we were talking about earlier. With Thatcher. If they're calling you names, that means you won. That means they have no political argument left.
Thomas, we really appreciate you being here as always and coming on 2 weeks in a row. I mean, I think David Limbaugh did that once. I think that's the only other time we ever did that. So we really do appreciate it. You've been just tremendous. Happy New Year. We wish you the best with this whole situation, the LGBT liaison. And tell everybody how they could find out more about Thomas S. Schmitz.
Oh, it's easy. On Twitter, I am at Thomas S. Schmitz. It's at ThomasSSCHMITZ, at Thomas S. Schmitz. And I'm an editor and contributor at www.conservatives4palin.com. And that's a number 4. That's conservatives4palin.com. Twitter at Thomas S. Schmitz.
Thomas, you're welcome here anytime. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you, Kevin. It's good to hear your voice.
For more on Thomas, visit conservatives4palin.com. Now it's time for Sarah Palin news, headlines, and more about Governor Palin. Governor Palin rings in the new year with an optimistic outlook. Palin stands up for the Waffle House waitress who exercised her right to bear arms and lost her job for doing it. Palin lauds Mad Dog and meets up with Gene Simmons. An apology from Palin to Julian Assange. A Mama Grizzly warning to Republicans. Obama wins. Another participation award. The next Lindsey Vonn may be a Palin. We look back at the origin of Drain the Swamp and mess with Palin, and you get full grizzly. Just ask fake news fan Clyburn. To read about all of these stories, visit the Mama Grizzly Radio Facebook page. To see any of the governor's posts in their entirety, visit Sarah Palin's Facebook page, follow her on Twitter at Sarah Palin USA, and check out sarahpack.com. Now let's head to the crow's nest. Here's Tanya Crow.
Thanks, Kevin. Happy New Year, everybody. Going into this brand new year with so much hope and optimism and positivity, I wanted to cover a topic that is near and dear to my heart. As a parent, as a friend, really adds to, in my opinion, the quality of our life and the happiness that we can hold in our hearts. And that trait is accountability. the obligation or willingness to accept responsibility or to account for one's actions. I can say and be very grateful for my father, who gave me a very strict lesson in accountability at a pretty young age, and it really stuck. My sister and I were walking out of a market to the car, and we were about 6 and 7. He notices that we are chewing on something in our mouth, and he stops right in his tracks and says, "Girls, what are you chewing on? What's in your mouth?" And we both look up at him with these big deer eyes, and we say, "It's candy, Daddy." And he goes, "I didn't pay for any candy. Did you pay for any candy?" And he proceeded to come down to our level, down on his knees, look us straight in the eye and say, "That is not yours to take. That belongs to the market. The market is owned by somebody, and you've now stolen from that person. And we are going to walk right back into that store. I'm going to find the store manager, and you are going to tell him what you did, and you're going to apologize for it." I brought that lesson to me throughout my teenage years when I was at a movie theater with friends, and we would pay for one movie, and then that movie would finish, and everybody was up and running around trying to find the next theater that they could sneak into, and I just couldn't do it. It instilled in me the bigger picture of things. If someone gives me more money than bigger change than what I'm due, I'll give it back. And that accountability, I hope to instill in my daughter, and I hope she instills in her children, and to hold myself accountable, to hold others in my life accountable is not an easy thing to do, but it's something I strive for. One group of people that I find have not done that for themselves, and that's the journalists, that I do not feel that they have held themselves or even each other accountable until just recently. I feel like people are starting to come out and talk about the lack of accountability that's been horribly exercised when it comes to the press. And it's going to be interesting to see how the press is handled by the new administration, but I find that a lot of the things that he's talking about doing with them is, in my opinion, a great beginning to start to hold them accountable and leave their bias out the door, and to, as best to their ability, to cover the facts. God bless you. God bless America. Love and peace to everyone. This is Tanya Crow with Mama Grizzly Radio.
Tanya Crow on Mama Grizzly Radio. More from the Crow's Nest next week. Now, on target with Kelly Carlson.
Thanks, Kevin. Etiquette training as it relates to victim selection. Etiquette has been a really, really important part of my life. First starting with childhood, my mother put me through charm school. And also etiquette plays a really, really big part of my life today in many ways and for many different reasons. A few subjects that you will cover in etiquette training are your posture, which is body language, movement, your gait, your walk, transitions, that's transitioning between rooms. Another one is your placement in a room in relation to others, and another one is your wardrobe. So none of this is probably shocking to you, but as you know, I started studying psychopathy, the psychopathic mind, many, many years ago. And I came across one particular study and one particular interview, and that, for me, revealed a bigger, more important reason for etiquette training. The study, this is so interesting, and remember the subjects that I listed. The study was, they went into a prison, I think multiple prisons, and they interviewed predators, violent offenders and sexual predators. They showed them a video of a very, very busy downtown street, like picture Manhattan, a bunch of people crossing, walking down the sidewalks. And they asked them individually, alone, to pick out their prey, essentially. They had a very short period of time to do so. It was interesting because at the end of it, the overwhelming majority of offenders picked the same people. Now, the people conducting the study couldn't find relation between gender, race, age, and even size. They asked the predators why they picked who they did, and they didn't necessarily know because they had this short period of time. So after examining it, the similarities between the selected prey, what I'm just going to call them, were very interesting. It had everything to do with posture, movement, and wardrobe. The posture, the body language, the movement, the gait, and this was the key one here. They tend to always pick people that have an uneven walk or gait. So when they found some of the selected prey to have an overwhelmingly or an exaggerated arm swing or steps, and then on the contrary, short and jagged arm swings and shorter steps. Also, an important one was walk without a tempo, which to me is very primitive because that reminds me of like an injured animal. Now, the interview that I came across was of a child predator. And the child predator when he asked how he picked his children, the number one thing and the most important thing that he said was that what caught his eye the most was it was necessary to pick a child that had poor hygiene and was unkempt, because what that suggested was a lack of parental oversight. Now, when you go back and look at all this, you can see the overlapping and why practicing and maybe studying some etiquette will teach you to stand up straighter, how to deal with people, how to gesture. It also, etiquette is going to build an awareness because you have to be aware of your placement in a space and the people in relation to where you're at. That is situational awareness. This is Kelly Carlson for Mama Grizzly Radio.
Tune in for more On Target next week. It's time for the Millennial Forecast. Here's Sarah Hagmeyer.
Thanks so much, Kevin. Social media really makes me wonder, do blonde lives matter? A young blonde notoriously known for her final thoughts is doing exactly what she is supposed to do. Tomi Lahren is waking up and shaking up the millennial generation. In a winter wonderland of finicky snowflakes, Tomi Lahren is the top of the line snowblower. Feminists will cringe when they hear her voice. Millennials will rant endlessly about the successful news personality. And what's incredible is that Tomi is doing everything within her constitutional right. Tomi, as super successful as she is, as young as she is getting a lot of attention, but also a lot of hate. Over the course of a few weeks, her name has been trending with false death on Twitter, as well as trends telling her to shut up with #ShutUpTomiLahren. These people don't even want her to exist. But just like Donald Trump, the biggest voices in media will often get ridiculed the most. Tomi might be a small-town girl, but she is a tough girl, and also a fighter. As a young blonde woman myself, yes, Tomi, your life and your voice matters. However, I want to know where the raging feminists are when conservative women are getting called bimbos and are receiving death threats online for having a different opinion. I want to know where the raging feminists are when Tomi is doing her job. And liberals have a problem with it because she's not broadcasting their liberal BS. Unfortunately, snowflakes will still be snowflakes, and that's why the forecast for millennials still hasn't changed. Tomi Lahren will continue to share her 2 to 3 minute long videos, and the millennials will still be having meltdowns over them. For Mama Grizzly Radio, I'm Sarah Hagmar, and that was your Millennial Forecast.
And next week, we'll have a new edition of the Millennial Forecast right here on the Palin Update.
Now, the Palin Update with Kevin Scholla presents Liberty and Legacy. Here's Tamara Colbert.
Happy New Year, friends of Mama Grizzly Radio. I wanted to share with you an inspiring email charge that my co-director for the Convention of States, Texas, and I sent to our 100,000 plus volunteers because we are getting ready for the start of the 85th Texas legislative session. And we're sensing a bit of timidity and a bit of hesitation by some of our leaders because we are asking them to do something big. I was once told that victory belongs to those who are bold, and that's right. But I also believe that victory belongs to those who are equally bold, brave, and courageous enough to step into the battle. So let me share with you and read this email that we sent our Texas volunteers. With the announcement of our goal to get 1,000 Texans to the Capitol for the State of the State address, our leadership team is sensing concerns that we can even attain such a lofty goal. We want to share with you some remarks made by President Teddy Roosevelt more than 100 years ago, and I quote, "It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat." End quote. Since this speech was made in 1910, the federal government has been encroaching on our liberty with an appetite for power that is never quenched. The powers that corrupt the federal system never relent. They never rest. Our guard has been down during the span of years as we have relied on others to do the duty that our Constitution and founders insisted we must do, and that is govern ourselves. All of you have pledged to stand in the gap as guardians of liberty. This is no small thing, but you are not standing alone. The only way to succeed is for us to stand together against these forces of corruption, greed, and power which continue to encroach upon us. And they encroach upon us with the full force and authority of the federal government behind them. But make no mistake, friends, this is hard. This fight is just the beginning because our goal is not just to pass our resolution in Texas or hold a convention or get amendments proposed or even get amendments ratified. We are building an army of citizen activists, ever vigilant, ever ready, ever educated to move to action when tyranny or injustice raises its head. We at the Convention of States Project are retraining the nation in self-governance, the importance of independence, and self-reliance. Getting to the Capitol is inconvenient. We understand that. But know this, the fight to restore liberty will always require us to endure inconveniences. If we don't, we submit to tyranny. We give up. Our founders pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor to make America. What are you willing to do to restore it? We have more than 100,000 Texans, and our goal is to get less than 1% of them to show up at the Capitol for the State of the State address. We can directly email almost all of them. That's less than 1% we need to show up. When we began presenting district captain training in the summer, we started with a basic question challenging those in attendance to ask themselves, how important is this to me? The point was not to demand that the Convention of States project become the most important thing in your life, but to demonstrate that you need to realistically count your personal cost of restoring liberty. It will cost you something, and convenience is probably at the top of any list. Time is but a small sacrifice in consideration for the inspiration and motivation you're demonstrating to other Texans and others around our nation considering how to spend their time in 2017 and which cause to volunteer for. More than that, you are sending an important signal to the entire Texas legislature that passing the Convention of States resolution is the single most important issue of the session. This is your opportunity to be creative, to turn out those 1,000 volunteers. You will need to make personal calls. You will need to engage with those volunteers in your district one-on-one. This has the potential to change America as significantly as the revolution in 1776. Now is the time. You are smart, you are creative, and you are resilient. Consider carpools or sharing hotel rooms if you need to stay overnight. These fellow warriors that you will bring to the Capitol have got your back on the battlefield. This is your opportunity to get to know them, be inspired by them, and as a leader, you get to train them in self-governance. We are trying to save the republic. We are warriors who dare to step into the arena, not because we are going to win, but because we have the audacity to believe we can actually save America. Now that is courage, friends. Wear these inconveniences as badges of honor. Use them to share with your family, your friends, your colleagues that you choose to volunteer for a cause greater than yourself, and that is restoring the American Republic. We can't do this alone, but together we can prevail. We must not only show up, but we must be armed and ready for battle. The ultimate victory belongs to God. And if our cause is righteous and just and noble, we will win one way or the other. Together we get to share those stories and the scars. It is a blessing and honor to serve and work with each one of you. May God bless you in 2017. May God continue to bless our efforts and enable us to restore this incredible blessing that is the American Republic. To him be the glory and the victory. Happy New Year, my Mama Grizzly Radio listeners. May you all be blessed in 2017, and may our nation be blessed with new ideas, new people, new solutions, and bold leadership. I pray that you all will be courageous enough to enter the arena, whatever your arena is. Remember, it isn't because you are guaranteed that you will win. You're a winner just for entering the arena. Tweet me this week at Tamara Colbert, hashtag Mama Grizz Radio. Happy New Year, Kevin and Tanya, Kelly, Sarah, and of course the Palin family. We at Mama Grizzly Radio, we're in the arena and we are ready for battle in 2017. It isn't going to be easy, but we're fired up and we are ready to rock. I'm Tamara Colbert. Thanks for listening to Mama Grizzly Radio.
Tamara Colbert in Texas. Tune in for more Liberty and Legacy next week. And to learn about Convention of States, head to conventionofstates.com. The Palin Update, including Liberty and Legacy, the Millennial Forecast, On Target, and the Crow's Nest is on demand and available for download. So just head to mamagrizzlyradio.com, pick the show you want to hear, and you can listen anywhere, anytime. Well, that'll just about do it for this edition of the Palin Update on Mama Grizzly Radio. Visit mamagrizzlyradio.com for continuing coverage of Governor Palin. Also, like Mama Grizzly Radio on Facebook. And follow along on Twitter at Mama Grizz Radio, at Kevin Scholla, at Tamara Colbert, at Tanya Yoga 13, at S. Hagmeyer 2, and at FBR ABQ. And I'm doing some writing for Breitbart News. Go to Breitbart.com and search Kevin Scholla. I want to thank Tamara Colbert, Tanya Crow, Kelly Carlson, Sarah Hagmeyer, and everyone here at Mama Grizzly Radio. Thanks to Thomas S. Schmitz. And thank you for listening today. A special thanks to our sponsor, Full Battle Rattle. Visit facebook.com/Full Battle Rattle ABQ. The Palin Update is produced by Lena Anderson, the Andy L. Kramer, and Laurie Ann Lewis. Please be sure to join us again next time for another edition of the Palin Update right here on Mama Grizzly Radio. I'm Kevin Scholla. Have a pleasant day.